They say the most dangerous predators are not the ones with teeth and claws, but the ones who wear a 1,000-watt smile and promise you the world. I used to think that was just a saying, a line from a movie, until I met Julian Croft. He wasn't just a predator, he was an artist of destruction, and I was his prized apprentice, his greatest masterpiece of ruin. It all started in the glittering towers of the financial district, where I was just another young analyst trying to make a name for myself. Julian was a legend, a wealth manager who'd rebranded himself as a corporate guru. He spoke of synergy and enlightenment, of breaking down ego to build up empires. He took me under his wing, telling me he saw a rare potential in me, a reflection of his own younger self. I was mesmerized. He was everything I wanted to be: confident, admired, and seemingly at peace with the universe. The real initiation came a few months later. Julian invited me to his penthouse for what he called a vision quest, an exclusive gathering of his inner circle. The air was thick with incense and the low hum of meditative music. He spoke of shared consciousness and stripping away the falsehoods of the material world. Then he brought out the little bag of mushrooms. He said it was a tool for radical honesty, a shortcut to the trust that formed the bedrock of his success. I was hesitant, but his gaze was so reassuring, so paternal. That night I saw glimpses of something else beneath the calm facade, a flicker of irritation when someone questioned his philosophy, a possessive grip on the arm of a female colleague he was mentoring. But I dismissed it, lost in the intoxicating promise of being one of the chosen few. I fell deeper into his orbit. My old friends faded away, their concerns about my new mentor sounding like the jealous whispers of the unenlightened. Julian said they were anchors, holding me back from my true potential. He made me his right hand, giving me access to his client lists and his private ledgers, framing it as the ultimate act of trust. I saw the patterns then, how he targeted clients who were grieving or lost, offering them spiritual solace before locking them into high-risk, high-fee investment schemes. I saw him with Anya, a bright young woman from marketing, feeding her the same lines he'd fed me, telling her they were twin souls destined for greatness. I watched him convince her to take a sabbatical from her job to focus on the real work with him. My unease grew into a quiet dread, but I was complicit, tangled in the web he'd woven. The end came swiftly. We were on the verge of a massive merger he had orchestrated. On the final call with the board, he presented data that was, to put it mildly, creatively optimistic. When the deal imploded spectacularly a week later, he didn't hesitate. In a company-wide meeting, with that serene, disappointed look on his face, he laid the blame squarely on me. He produced fabricated emails and doctored spreadsheets, painting me as a reckless, ambitious fool who had betrayed his trust. I was fired, my reputation shredded. He discarded me without a second thought, a broken tool to be thrown away, and immediately promoted Anya into my old role. That was his final lesson: loyalty is a one-way street, and its final destination is always his own benefit. Hitting rock bottom gives you a terrible kind of clarity. The fog of his influence lifted, replaced by a cold, hard rage. I wasn't going to just recover, I was going to erase him. I learned he was hosting the Ascendancy Summit, the grand launch of his international wellness brand, in the grand ballroom of the city's most prestigious hotel. It was his coronation, with investors, media, and 100 of his most devoted followers in attendance. He thought I was broken, licking my wounds in obscurity. But he had forgotten what he taught me. He had given me all the keys to his kingdom. He was a creature of image, and I was going to burn that image to the ground. For weeks, I lived on coffee and fury, using the intimate knowledge he had given me to piece together his whole fraudulent empire. I traced the money from his vulnerable clients, laundered through shell corporations disguised as meditation retreats. I cross-referenced the dates of their spiritual breakthroughs with his private calendar, which detailed his sale of illegal psychedelics. And I found the crown jewel, a hidden audio file on a server I had built for him, a file he had forgotten even existed. The night of the summit, I sat in a cheap cafe across the street, a laptop open in front of me. I watched the live stream as Julian took the stage, bathed in a golden light, his smile radiating benevolence. He began his keynote, talking about authenticity and building a better world. As he reached his crescendo, I bypassed the hotel's security and rerouted the feed to the massive screen behind him. His face, 10 feet tall, was suddenly replaced, not by accusations but by facts. Anonymized bank statements showing the money trail one after another, encrypted text messages decoded detailing drug transactions with his patients. Then came the audio. His voice, slick and arrogant, filled the stunned silence of the ballroom. It was a recording of him on the phone, laughing. "You find the broken ones," his voice echoed, You tell them they're special, you sell them a dream, and they will give you their entire life savings just to feel seen. The chaos was immediate. People were shouting, cameras were flashing. Julian stood frozen, his mask of enlightenment melting away to reveal the hollow-eyed monster beneath. In the weeks that followed, his world fell apart. Federal investigations, lawsuits, front-page scandals. His name became a synonym for fraud. I watched it all from a distance, the quiet satisfaction feeling less like victory and more like balance restored. I reconnected with my old friends. I got a call from a shaken but grateful Anya who had gotten out just in time. I started my own small consulting firm, built on the one thing Julian could never understand: actual integrity. People think my revenge was born from my own ruin, a simple act of getting even. They're not entirely wrong. But that audio file, the one that delivered the final blow, I didn't record it during my time with him. He had made that call years ago. The man on the other end of that phone, the person Julian was bragging to about his methods, was his very first business partner, the first man he had ever destroyed. That man was my father. Julian hadn't just ruined my future, he had tried to repeat the past. My revenge wasn't just for me. It was a ghost from his first sin, reaching across 2 decades to finally collect a debt.